In this video, we're going to look at comparing integers. Now, if you remember from a previous video or from any previous lessons you've had in school, an integer is just a whole number. So any of the numbers you've got like 1, 2, 3, 0. Remember from last time when we did negative numbers, there's -1, -2, -3. So we're just going to think about how we can compare them. So in particular, in this video, we're going to cover comparing positive integers, negative integers, and 0. We're also going to look at what does it actually mean to be bigger than, less than, or the same. So specifically, we're going to look at what is greater than, less than, and equal to. And we're going to learn some cool new symbols to represent this. And specifically, we're going to look at some examples. So we're going to compare 1-digit and 2-digit numbers. Okay, so if you remember from our video from negative integers or negative numbers, we used a lot of sort of number lines. That was quite helpful for us to visualize where the positive numbers and the negative numbers are. So we did something that looked a bit like this. So in a number line, we might draw on 0, and then we'll have the positive numbers to the right. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And then we've got the negative numbers to the left. So remember, we've got the negative sign and then the number. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9. Just not enough space there for -10, unfortunately. So we've got our number line here, which is going to be useful for us in a bit, for us comparing numbers. Okay. So if we remember from last time, when we were using the number lines, one of the sort of biggest examples we used was the example of looking at a deep sea diver. So if you imagine we've got the beach here, lovely sand, got the sun up there, got some waves. We'll draw them on to meet up with the beach. Maybe draw a nice little fish or two, some goldfish, and an octopus or a jellyfish. Let's test the artistic skills here. 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Yeah, so what we did was we looked at a deep sea diver who went underneath the water, and we measured their depth below sea level. So drawing on a little sort of ruler here, we said that sea level was at 0 meters, and then we could measure up, say, 5 meters, 10 meters, 15 meters above the sea level, and then -5, -10, -15, -20, minus 25 below the sea level. And so we had our positive numbers up here above the sea and our negative numbers below the sea. And so we think what it means there, sort of to compare positive numbers, negative numbers, and 0, we can say that positive numbers are sort of bigger than 0 because the positive numbers all lie above 0. And we can also say that 0 and the positive numbers are bigger than the negative numbers. So positive numbers are bigger than 0, and they're both bigger than the negative numbers. So I guess positive numbers and 0 are bigger than negative numbers. And what else can we say? I guess it's true that as you look up, you get bigger. So as we move up the number line, we get higher or bigger or larger. And as we move down the number line, we get smaller. And that just works the same both for our vertical number line as for our horizontal number line here. So we have 3 rules, which is positive is bigger than 0 is bigger than negative. We have sort of, as you move to the right, numbers get bigger. So move to right, numbers get bigger. And then similarly, as you move to the left, numbers get smaller. Okay. So that's a lot of writing. We like to, in maths, make it a bit more simple. And the way that we're going to do this is by introducing some new symbols. These symbols, well, 2 of them look a bit like crocodiles. And you've got to think of them in a way of, if you were a crocodile, what would you want? Okay. So the first symbol looks like that. And this symbol means is greater than. So in practice, we might say, 1 is greater than 0, because 1 is bigger than 0. So we'd write 1 is bigger than 0. And that's because a crocodile, they'd want to eat one bit of food more than they'd want to eat 0 bits of food. We also have this other symbol of a crocodile whose mouth is going to clamp down the other way, which means less than or is less than. So we could say 0 is less than 1 because 0 is smaller than 1. And then we have one final symbol, which is this, which is made up of two lines, sort of horizontal, straight across the page, next to each other. And that means equal to, or is equal to, or is the same as. And that's just when you have two numbers that are exactly the same. So 1 is equal to 1. So they are our three comparison symbols. We've got greater than, less than, and equal to. Okay. So let's look at some examples. If we wanted to compare the number 0 and 2, and we wanted to say which is bigger, well, we can remember the rule from up here, which is that as you move to the right, numbers get bigger on the number line. So what we'll do is we'll mark 0 and 2 on our number line. So 0 is there and 2 is there, and 2 is to the right of 0. And remember, because it's to the right, that means it's bigger. So 2 is bigger than or greater than 0. So 2 is greater than 0. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you 3 more examples, and I'll let you pause the video to have a go at them, but just using the exact same strategy of drawing out your number line, marking them on, and comparing whether they're to the left or to the right. Have a go at using these symbols to compare the numbers. So if you pause the video now and give it a go. Okay, I hope that's been enough time for you to have a go at it. So if we look at this second example, we've got the numbers 5 and 4. If we mark them on the number line, well, 4 is here and 5 is there. And because 5 is to the right of 4, or sort of more in that direction than that direction, then we can say that 5 is bigger than 4. So 5 is bigger than 4. An important note to make is that this is correct. You could also have written it as 4 is less than 5, because sort of this means the same as that. The most important thing, the thing that doesn't change, is just so long as the crocodile mouth is facing towards the bigger number, then you'll have compared the numbers correctly. Okay, looking at this sort of third example now, we've got to compare 3 and minus 3, or 3 and negative 3. Well, one method which you could use, which you may have used, is to look and mark them on the number line. I'd just like to draw your attention to another method, which is instead thinking about this fact up here. Sort of might save you a bit of work, which is that positive numbers are bigger than 0, which is bigger than negative numbers. And because we have a positive number and a negative number, then we can just compare them straight away. And we can say 3 is bigger than minus 3, or minus 3 is less than 3. Okay, and just onto this last example now. We have negative 6 and negative 5. two negative numbers, so we can't skip that step using this fact up here. What we're going to have to do instead is look at the number line and mark them on. So -6 is here, -5 is there, -5 is to the right of -6, and so -6 is smaller than -5. Or you could also have -5 is bigger than -6. Whichever one of these methods you use, whether it's looking which is to the right, which is to the left, they'll all give the same answer. Just make sure that you've got the crocodile mouth the correct way around. Always do a double check at the end. Okay, very good. What I want you to have a go now at is to fill in this table. So we've got symbol on the left and description on the right. What I want you to do is to take 30 seconds, pause the video, have a go at drawing out this table and then filling in what each of these symbols mean. Okay, so hopefully you've paused the video now and had a go. Looking over what I'd expect to have roughly in your tables. This first symbol here, the crocodile mouth is pointing leftwards. So that would mean is greater than, or is bigger than, or is more than. Anything that says is bigger. When the crocodile mouth is facing rightwards, we'd have is less than, and these two lines here, horizontal, next to each other, just means is equal to. Okie dokie. So now what I want to do is I want to show you a bit of a more tricky example, which is to compare some bigger numbers. So what about if we wanted to compare 57 and 49? Well, we do the exact same thing for starters, which is to draw a number line. But these numbers are a bit bigger. If you remember our number line that we had earlier, it only went up to -9 and 10. And sometimes when we've got really big numbers, what we'd rather do than write the number line all the way out from 0 is just to start with one of the numbers and mark them on. So let's mark on 57. And what we can do now is sort of copy what we did earlier, where we went 10 left and 10 right, but just go 10 left and 10 right from 57. So we go 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, and 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47. Okay, so if we look here, we have 57 is there and 49 is here. And so, because 57 is to the right of 49, or 49 is to the left of 57, then 57 is greater than 49. Okie dokie. Now that we've done that, I'm just going to give you a few examples that I'd like you to have a go at yourselves on a bit of paper at home. So I'll just write these down here, and then what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and have a go at writing down the number line. Start by filling in one of the numbers and then work your way out to the other number. Okay, so hopefully that should have been enough time there for you. Looking at this first example, we start by drawing the number line. We mark on 31, and then we go up 32, 33. We've already got to 33, so we've got our number 31 and 33. 33 is to the right of 31, and so 31 is less than 33. Looking at 79 and 81, we draw our number line, put 79 on, and then we go 80, 81. We've got our numbers already, which is quite convenient. So 79's here, 81's there. 79 is to the left, so 79 is less than 81. This question here, we have encountered something where if you had a go and tried to fill in the numbers on the number line, it would take quite a while to get to them. You know, trying to just go 10 up and 10 down wouldn't quite cut it. So what we have to recall here is that sort of positive numbers are bigger than negative numbers. So although sometimes it looks like you need to do some complicated method, it can simplify quite a bit when we just remember that 15 is positive, minus 64 is negative. So 15 is bigger than minus 64. And then for this last example, we can mark on minus 14, and then we count upwards, minus 13. We're already there, so minus 14 is to the left of minus 13. So minus 14 is less than minus 13. Okay, so in this video, we've looked at how we compare integers, specifically the positive and negative integers, as well as 0. We've looked at some examples that show us how to apply the greater than, less than, and equal to symbol. And we've been able to compare 1 and 2 digit numbers.